June 1965, Gemini 4. Two astronauts orbit above Africa on a mission that would make history with America's first spacewalk. But through the capture window, they also spot something extraordinary. A giant ringed formation, clean and crisp in the vast sand, like a blueprint for a forgotten city etched into the Earth itself. The crew raised their cameras and captured it from orbit, images that revealed to the world what geologists on the ground already knew, that in the middle of the Sahara Desert lies a perfect bullseye. That place is the Richat Structure. Some see geology and others see myth. Atlantis may be hiding not in the ocean, but under these rings of earth. So which is it? Nature's art or legend written in stone? Let's find out. Welcome back to What If We're Wrong? In this episode, we're exploring the Richat Structure. We'll look at why so many people believe it could be Atlantis, what the science really says, and how the truth might be even stranger than the legend. Atlantis, as Plato described it, was a city built in rings of land and water, mountains to the north, a great plain to the south, a layout so distinctive it's burned into our imagination. Now drop into the Sahara. Here in Mauritania, the desert hides something that looks uncannily like Plato's story. Concentric rings, nearly perfect circles, stretching 40 kilometres across the sand. From the air, it's eerie. From space, it's unforgettable. This is why the Richat Structure has been called the Atlantis you can actually visit. And it's why, once the images started circulating online, the theory exploded. But the question is, does resemblance mean reality? Let's start with why people are convinced. There are 5 main reasons the Richat Structure is seen as Atlantis. Firstly, the shape. Plato described Atlantis as a city built in alternating rings of land and water. The Richat Structure has rings too, not small, not faint, but vast, bold circles 40 kilometres across. Believers point to the way those rings scale up, almost exactly to the proportions Plato described in the Critias. Secondly, the environment. The Sahara wasn't always a desert. In the so-called African humid period, stretching from about 11,000 to 5,000 years ago, this region was green. Lakes, rivers, even grassland stretch across what's now sand. To believers, that makes it entirely plausible that a thriving culture could have once lived here, only to be wiped away as the climate shifted. Thirdly, the geography. Plato said Atlantis had mountains to the north and a great plain to the south. The Richat Structure does too. The Adra Plateau rises to the north, and the vast plains of Mauritania run to the south. Fourthly, there's the setting. Plato wrote that Atlantis lay beyond the Pillars of Hercules. Some interpret this to mean beyond the Strait of Gibraltar. The Sahara is not far beyond that, and to believers, that puts the Richat Structure exactly where it should be, on the far side of the Mediterranean world, in the lands of Africa. Now, fifthly, there's the story. Plato described Atlantis as a powerful kingdom that fell to disaster. What better hiding place for a fallen city than beneath the sands of the world's largest desert? The Richat Structure becomes not a geological oddity, but a stage where history, legend, and landscape collide. When you stack all of this up, the rings, the geography, the climate, the location, and the story, it feels like too much to be coincidence, which is why, for many, the Richat Structure is the most convincing location for Atlantis. But how does this case hold up when we bring science to the table? This is where things get interesting. Scientists have been fascinated by the Richat Structure for decades. At first, many thought it might have been an impact crater, a giant scar from a meteor strike. But as they studied the rocks, that theory soon fell apart. There were no signs of the shock waves you'd expect from such an impact. What they found instead was something even more remarkable, a dome. The Richat Structure is a 40-kilometre wide uplift, formed when magma pushed up under layers of ancient sedimentary rock during the Cretaceous period, around 100 million years ago. Those layers now dip outward in every direction, exactly what you'd expect from a dome that was pushed up from below. Over millions of years, erosion did the rest. Harder quartzite ridges resisted the wind and weather, while softer rocks wore away. The result is a set of striking concentric rings, not built walls, but nature's pattern. At the very centre is a core of volcanic breccia and intrusive igneous rocks, further proof that this was shaped by geological forces, not human engineering. The International Union of Geological Sciences now officially recognises it as a Cretaceous alkaline complex, one of Earth's most spectacular geological domes. So the Richat structure is not the ruins of a city. It's the exposed cross-section of a geological dome, a bullseye carved from fire, uplift and erosion. That's the science. So case closed, right? Not quite. Because even with all the dating, drilling and sampling, something on the ground kept the mystery alive. Archaeologists walking the rings began to find traces that raised new questions. Along the wadis, the dry riverbeds that cut across the outer rings, researchers uncovered Eculean hand axes and Neolithic flakes, proof that humans lived and worked here thousands of years ago. To archaeologists, these finds were both exciting and frustrating. People were here, but was it a city? Here's the problem. They left no walls, no canals, no harbours, no inscriptions, nothing to suggest an advanced city on the scale that Plato described. It's like the traces of humanity are scattered crumbs, but not the feast. It raises an intriguing possibility. The Richat structure could have been both, a natural formation later used by humans. Across history, people have built around dramatic natural landscapes. Think Petra in Jordan, Mesa Verde in the US, even Stonehenge set on a natural chalk plain. The Richat structure may never have been Atlantis, but it could still have been a place where people gathered, lived, and shaped their lives around this great circle. This is where believers and skeptics clash. To the skeptics, the absence of architecture is proof that Atlantis isn't here. To the believers, it's a gap waiting to be filled, and that tension keeps the Richat structure alive in the debate. So why does the Atlantis story cling to the Richat structure, even as the science gets stronger over the years? Partly, maybe it's psychology. The human brain loves patterns. Show us concentric circles in the desert, and we'll imagine a city. Partly, maybe it's cultural. The Richat structure is so striking that it feels wasted if it's just geology. We want it to be more. We want it to be Atlantis. And partly because, in a strange way, both sides win. Geologists get a world-class dome, a geological wonder so clear it's visible from orbit. Believers get a place that looks more like Atlantis than anything else on Earth. It's not often that science and legend can occupy the same landscape, but here they do. So what do we make of it? The Richat structure is, by every geological measure, a natural dome of ancient rock. Its rings were carved by fire and water, not men and canals. But in the eye of the Sahara, legend refuses to die. It is and will remain the most convincing Atlantis you can ever stand inside. And what if we're wrong? What if it was never Atlantis itself, but a natural formation that ancient people recognised and used? A place of settlement or gathering now lost to time. The tools scattered in its wadis remind us that people were here. Perhaps the Richat structure's greatest secret is not whether it was Atlantis, but how humans once lived in its shadow. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to read them. And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.